Hey everyone, this is TheWaterwhispers ilse, and I got another request to do a story reading video while snapping with the scissors a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do right now. This was requested also about a month ago, just like my last request, so it took me a while to make this. Apparently this is not my lucky day. This is the second record that I had to do for this video as well, because I almost finished it and my grandma called, so that was pretty loud. So I'm going to do it again. And this was requested by Sean Lynn 1202. So let's get started. The book called Dogger, and it's about a boy that loses his dog. Once there was a very soft brown toy called Dogger. One of his ears pointed upwards, and the other flopped over. His fur was worn in places because he was quite old, and he belonged to Dave. Dave was very fond of Dogger. He took him everywhere. Sometimes he gave him riddles in a troll, he gave him rides in a trolley, and sometimes he pulled him along a lead made of string like a real dog. When it was cold, he wrapped him up in a blanket. Now and again, Dave's mom said to Dogger that Dogger was getting much too dirty. She showed Dave how to wash him in a bowl of soapy water, and then they hung him up by his tail on the washing line to dry. Dave's baby brother Joe liked our toys, and he liked putting them in his mouth and biting on them, because he was getting teeth. Dave's bigger sister Bella took 7 teddies to bed with her every night, and she had to sleep right up against the wall to stop herself from falling out. But Dave liked only Dogger. One afternoon, Dave and Mom set out to collect Bella from school. Mom took Joe in the punch chair, and Dave took Dogger. Next to the school gate, where the moms were waiting, was a playing field. Some men with ladders were putting up colored flags. Mom said that there was going to be a summer fair to get some money to buy things for the school. Dave pushed Dogger up against the railings to show him what was going on. Just then, the children started to come out of school, and an ice cream van came around the corner playing a tune. And Bella ran up with her satchel flying. "Mom, can we have an ice cream?" Mom gave her the money for 2 cones, and Joe didn't have a whole ice cream to himself because he was too dribbling. On the way home, Dave walked beside the pushchair, giving Joe a piece of his ice cream. And Joe kicked his feet about and shouted for more in between licks. At tea time, Dave was rather quiet. In the bath, he was even quieter. And at that time he said, "I want Dogger." But Dogger was nowhere to be found. Mom looked under the bed. She looked behind the cupboard. She searched in the kitchen and underneath the stairs. Dave watched anxiously through the banisters, and Joe watched through the bars of his cot. Bella joined in to look for Dogger. She turned out her own toy box in case he was there, but he wasn't. When Dad came home, he looked for Dogger too. He searched in the shed and down the garden path with a torch, but Dogger was quite lost. Dave was very sad when he went to bed, and Bella kindly lent him one of her teddies to go to sleep. But it was not the same thing as Dogger. Dave kept waking up in the night and missing him. The next day was Saturday, and they all went to the school fair. The playing field was full of stalls and sideshows. There was a fancy dress parade. And there were sports with an egg and a spoon race. A wheelbarrow race, and a father's race. Bella was very good at the race, and she won a 3-legged race with her friend Barbara. "Wouldn't you like to go for a race?" she asked Dave. But Dave didn't feel like racing. He was missing Dogger too much. Then another very exciting thing happened to Bella. She won the first prize in a raffle, and it was a huge yellow teddy bear wearing a beautiful blue silk bow. He was almost as big as Dave, but Dave didn't like the teddy at all. At the moment, he didn't like Bella much either, because she kept on winging things, and he went off on his own to look at the stalls. One lady had a toy stall full of knitted ducks and cars and baby dolls in bonnets. And there, at the very back of the stall, behind a lot of other toys, was Dogger. He was wearing a ticket saying £5, and there was a lot of people around the stall. Dave tried to explain to the lady that it was his dogger, who had got lost and somewhere been put on the stall by mistaken, but she wasn't listening. He looked in his pocket and he had £3, but that wasn't enough. He ran to find Mom and Dad to ask them to buy Dogger back at once. Dave went everywhere in the crowd, but he couldn't see his Mom and Dad. He thought he was going to cry, and at last he found Bella by the cakes when she heard about Dogger, and she and Dave ran back to the toy stall as fast as they could. But something terrible happened. Dogger had just been bought by a little girl. She was already walking off with him. Dave began to cry. Bella ran after her and tried to explain that Dogger really belonged to Dave, and could they please buy him back? But the girl said no. She said that she had bought Dogger with her own money and she wanted him, and she held on him very tightly. Dave cried and cried, and the little girl started to cry too. But out of the corner of her eyes, she caught sight of Bella's big yellow teddy. She stopped crying and put out her hand to stroke his beautiful blue silk bow. Then Bella did something very kind. "Would you swap this teddy for my brother's dog then?" she asked. Right away the little girl stopped crying and began to smile. She held out Dogger to Dave and took the big teddy instead and went off with him in her arms. Then Dave smiled too. He hugged Dogger and he hugged Bella around the waist. "Thank you, Bella," he said. And that night, Dave had Dogger in bed beside him. Bella was practicing somersaults. "Sure you miss that big teddy?" Dave asked her. "No," said Bella. "I didn't like him much, really. He was too big and his eyes were too staring. Anyway, if I had another teddy in my bed, there wouldn't be room for me." Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you liked it. Sean Lynn, I hope that you enjoyed it as well. Bye everyone.